Okay. You know what? Just for the heck of it, because I feel like after those videos, sometimes, I don't know if it's the fact that it goes from something that's electronic or visual to something that's really quiet or just me. Like everyone's just like, oh my God, how do I react? I just saw this video about her being abused and now I have to stare at her. That sucks. So I'm going to go outside the box, and I'm not going to make you do anything too crazy. You won't be sweaty, and I'm wearing a dress, so clearly I'm not going to make you do anything too nuts. We're just going to go outside and run a couple of laps. Is that all right with everybody?
Sounds good.
All right, let's go. Now, okay, everyone's going to stand up. We're just going to stand up. I know. I am not wearing the right shoes, and I am running a marathon in all 50 states, and I have 11 more states to go, and I want to complete those. So if I ran in these shoes, I would not complete those. So you know that we're not going outside. Okay, so does anyone ever, do you know what the hokey pokey is? Okay, well, we're not doing that. So we're going to shake your right hand. It's always going to go from right to left and then right to left. So you're going to do your right hand first like this, and then you're going to do your left hand like this, and then your right foot, like if you're petting a dog on his tummy and he's like, because he likes it, you're going to do that. And then you're going to do your left foot like this. But we're going to do it in counts. So it's going to go from 7 counts of each one, boom, 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 to 6 counts of each one. And then you guys are super smart, so I don't have to keep giving you the example. It's going to go down from there. And by the end, you'll be like, wah! And you'll be ready to listen and energized and ready to go. You have a question? Oh, you were like preparing. Look at how, I love it. We have an overachiever in the house. She's like, I'm ready. Why is she still talking? And I'm ready. All right, you ready? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. What? Woo! Now you're awake. Oh. Lovely. Now there's a pulse in the room. I like it. That's what I'm talking about. So when people first come in to Girls with Soul, a lot of the girls will come in and they sit necessarily and not necessarily, sitting, standing, and they look at me kind of the same way you guys all were, like, what? And then I make them do something as simple as that, and demeanors totally changed. Every single person in this room has at least is still smiling or smiled, but they weren't before. So I feel much better, and I think you guys probably could feel a difference between before and after doing it. So that's kind of why I make you do it. And it's for me because it's entertaining. So obviously you guys saw a little bit about, you know, the videos and about what Girls with Soul does, and I'm going to go into just a little bit, maybe a little bit more detail to answer maybe questions that you might have in your mind, like how does that work, or why does she do it, why did it start, that kind of stuff. And then we'll go into questions or whatever if you're interested in asking those. So, I mean, obviously you could see from the video that Girls with Soul spawned organically from my own life experiences. And, you know, I really found personally strength and purpose and empowerment in sports and fitness. And I wanted girls in need to find that same thing. And I felt, you know, of all the research I did, there was nothing that was available for those kids to be able to tap into that mind, body, soul connection. And I think tapping into all three is imperative to be a not only whole person, but to truly be able to move forward and heal if you've been through anything traumatically. You need to be able to figure out how to get your mind and your body to work together. And as simple and basic as that might be, it's also super impactful, and that's something that's taught. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the girls need to be shown the way. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to try what worked for me to help other kids. Why wouldn't it? I mean, it's statistically speaking, and I was telling Carol earlier, she's kind of a numbers person, and I'm so not. I am not a numbers person. In fact, I think I was in my professor's office in college for statistics. It was my only stats, my only numbers-related class, because I was a communications major, and I purposely chose that so that I wouldn't have to deal with any numbers. I think I was in that office daily crying, and the poor guy gave me a sympathy D at the end, because I think he felt so bad for me. He's like, this girl's hopeless. So I wrote down a couple stats, because I'm not a stats-minded person. But I will tell you that I do know, statistically speaking, I shouldn't be standing here in front of you right now. You know, by all accounts, I was pretty much written off, and even by my own family members, that I was going to be a failure. And actually, it's interesting, when I was in my 20s, I was an aerobics instructor, and I was visiting my brother just for the heck of it. I told you I like to shock people. You know, I made you guys stand up and do a fake hokey pokey. Well, once in a while, I like to pull something out and shock someone. So my brother was the finance director for the city of Cleveland at the time when I was in my 20s. So he worked at City Hall, and I was working in 4 or 5 different gyms. I know anyone else in here who teaches aerobics or any group exercise knows that you don't just teach one, you teach probably 14 classes per week, and they're in a lot of different places usually. So that's what I was doing, and I was in between a few of my classes, and I had some time. So I went and I bought some Christmas cookies. It was around Christmas time. And I went to my brother's office to surprise him with these cookies, and he was in a meeting with the with the law director. So my brother is the director of finance. He's in a meeting with the law director, but it was a fairly unofficial, low-key meeting, so they let me go in. So I go in, and he's like, oh, this is my sister. She's the aerobics queen. I'm the director, we're the directors, and she's the directionless. And that's how he introduced me to the law director. And I mean, I was in my 20s by then, and going through a lot, and had always been just that kid that, you know, nobody understood. And they couldn't quite put their finger on why I was so bad. And they didn't have titles or, you know, like PTSD or terms for certain behaviors. And quite frankly, nobody really knew why I would have PTSD in the first place, except for my mom. So I was just the bad kid. I was the directionless kid. I was the crazy one. Oh my gosh, everyone called me crazy. So, you know, when I was adopted, I was in 4 different foster homes before I was adopted, and the reason why they moved me around, my mom said, was because there was some abuse in the foster homes. So I was in Catholic Charities. That's where they adopted me from. My mom called me a Catholic Charities baby. I don't know if that's an official term or what. I'm assuming it's not, but that's what my mom said I was. So when they first adopted me, my name was Tammy, and my parents are very Catholic and decided that Tammy was not a good biblical name. So they changed it to Elizabeth Sarah instead. So for 2 years, my name was something else. I was a totally different person. And when they got me, I know this is going to come as a big shock and surprise probably, but I never smiled. I actually cried all the time. I had a rash on my face all the time from nerves, mostly. I was petrified of men, which I'm kind of happy that changed around because I'm not anymore. And, you know, I was scared of the dark. I had a lot of issues coming into my adoptive home. That's for sure. But I worked on them, and my parents worked on them, and they were very supportive in terms of nurturing me to focus on my strengths. And I think that might be part of the reason why Girls of Soul actually came to be, because my dad, like I said in the video, he noticed that there was this terrible energy that was not being used in a positive way, and if he could only just tire me out, I think was initially the goal. If he could just wear me out enough, then I would probably be like even keel with the normal people. So he had me in every sport under the sun, and I was mostly geared towards swimming from a very early age. But I started, you know, getting better and gaining some confidence and feeling a little bit better about just my surroundings in general and myself. And then my next door neighbor started raping me when I was 8. And that was obviously a huge setback. And the only reason why it ended up stopping, as far as I know anyway, is I had an assignment pad, and it was one that I didn't take to school. I left it at home. And it had Garfield on the front. Do you guys remember Garfield and Pookie? Do you remember his bear, Pookie? It was his teddy bear. He kept it in a box, like with a blanket. So the assignment pad is like emblazed in my brain. I can still see it like I held it yesterday. And I would write things in there because, I mean, I'm not a psychology major or anything, but, you know, kids write things, they draw pictures, they obviously handle things in a different way to get it out. You got to get it out somewhere. So I started writing down, not every detail, but enough that anybody who read it would know what was happening. Well, one day at school, I was doing my thing, and my mom was looking through my room, and she found the assignment pad. So when I got home that day, she was mad at me, and I was used to that because I was always in trouble. So it wasn't any big deal for me to come home and have my mom mad. But when she pulled out the assignment pad, then I knew why she was mad, and that was like a whole different ballgame, because the whole point of it, of me not telling anybody, I was petrified that I was going to be blamed, that I did something wrong, and that's, you know, something that I, you know, would have to deal with, and I was afraid of the repercussions of what would happen. And I think my mom validated all those fears by the way she handled it, because she told me, it was in my room, and I can remember that like it was yesterday too. I was sitting down, she was standing up, and she said, we're not going to tell anybody, because if your dad finds out, he'll kill him and he'll go to jail, and then it'll be your fault that your dad's in jail. So we're just not going to tell anybody. And she left the room and never talked of it again, to the point where my mom's 89 years old now. When she moved to her retirement home, I helped her pack up her stuff, and we were going through, you know, when you wrap stuff in newspaper and put it in boxes and all that stuff. The background had the TV on, and it was like the Montel Williams show or something. I don't even know if that show's on anymore. I don't know. But you know, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It was on that day. And they had a theme of abuse on having kids or adults who had experienced trauma, sexual trauma as kids. And my mom looked at me and actually said to my face, can you even imagine what that would be like? So I was just like, oh my God, I totally freaked out, obviously. But so that's to the point of denial that my mom was in. Like, she literally that day said, we're not going to speak of it, and she walked out of the room. And I think it was a generational thing, to be fair to her, I suppose. She grew up during World War II Germany. She's, you know, you could call it from the old country, so to speak. So it was, you know, how they handled things. But that wasn't going to help me any, right? Because I had to handle, you know, the rest of my life having to deal with that on my own. So clearly there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of issues that are going on, and nowhere good to put it. Because if I was already kind of messed up, I was really messed up after that. But the cool thing is I did find a way to feel better about myself, and I found a way to actually believe in myself and push myself past certain barriers of pain that aren't bad forms of pain. So that's what makes it so beautiful, because you can figure out a way to make yourself uncomfortable, but it's in a socially acceptable and positive way. So it's pretty amazing what you can learn from physical fitness. So speaking of the statistics and the reason why, you know, my parents and everybody thought I was crazy and that I shouldn't be here, I did write down a couple stats that would kind of go along with that. And basically everybody that knew me thought I was a lost cause, but yet people are inviting me to come and talk. Isn't that the weirdest thing? It's so weird. Who knew? Believe me, my guidance counselor in high school never would have guessed it in a million years. But 50% of women in prison who I have been sexually abused as kids, and 80% of 21-year-old females that were abused as kids meet at least one psychological disorder. Now, I am not going to try to guess how many I meet, but we'll just go with maybe one, okay? We'll just stick with that number. Over 60% of people in drug rehab report being abused as a child. So obviously for those reasons, you know, and with my history, I probably statistically shouldn't be here. So you don't have to pass stats to know that, you know, fitness and wellness is very basic, and it's not rocket science, but it's also extremely impactful. So, you know, it's funny, my mom used to tell me repeatedly many things, but one was that I was so crazy I should write a book. And I thought, you know what, I am going to. So the funny thing is it was more probably to get things out. It was a nice way of, getting out my story so that I could hopefully reach anybody else who might feel alone in their own journey. Obviously, without the book, I probably wouldn't reach those people. But it also organically became part of Girls with Soul programming because we give the books to girls that are 13 years old and up. And that kind of just started, just like everything else, extremely naturally, where when I started Girls with Soul, we had programs at a gym. And the gym space is not someplace that the girls could get to. So transportation is a huge issue. So you had to say, okay, well, how can we adapt to this? And we decided the best way to adapt to it is bring the programs directly to the girls where they are. So it's beautiful because I don't need a space. I don't have to pay for a huge facility. I partner with different agencies and various social services, as well as some schools and hospitals, and just bring the girls the programs to them. And then some of the girls were coming to programs and they had no shoes, literally no shoes, or the only pair of shoes they had were an old pair of Heelys. Do you guys remember what Heelys are? They are the shoes with the wheels built in so you could snap them out and roller skate and then you could snap them back in. I had one girl, she was in foster care, and she had somebody's old Heelys, and that was her shoes. And she removed the wheels. So you can imagine what the sole of that shoe was pretty unforgiving and not appropriate for exercise. So I thought, okay, I've got to buy this girl some shoes. And then that just started the whole, everybody gets shoes now. And then the girls come, equipped. They're not equipped properly, but they come equipped, if you know what I mean. And when we're running, they're holding themselves like this because they're running in a spaghetti string cami or something with nothing underneath it. And you're like, okay, now we got to give them the sports bras. So it just kept going on and on from there. One girl in particular, I was like, I got to give her a copy of my book because she needs it. And it just went berserk from there because she was like, your book gave me hope. It made me feel like if you could do it and you're so happy, I thought you were on crack or something. So obviously I could do it. So if for no other reason, I was like, okay, these girls need to read the book. And so we have exercises built into the curriculum that work around the book. And it's just kind of one of those things that it keeps going and going and going, and everybody once again told me it's going to fail. When I first had my very first meeting, when I said I wanted to start Girls with Soul, people were like, well, first of all, you got to take abuse out of the mission statement because nobody's going to support it, and no kids are going to want to be in it. Who's going to be in the Abused Girls Club? I'm like, it's not like that. That's not what it is. It's an empowerment group. It's an empowerment organization. And abuse, taking it out, defeats the whole purpose. I might as well just open a rec center then, or whatever, because that was the whole point of my mom sweeping it under the rug. The whole point of taking away the stigma. It's not anyone's fault when something happens to them, and they shouldn't be ashamed of it. So obviously working with a lot of residential treatment centers and places where kids are already being seen for various forms of trauma, they embraced it right away. And then the schools did too. And I didn't have to take it out, and I didn't have to worry that I was going to offend somebody because there's the word abuse. And you know what? Abuse comes in so many forms that I don't think people understand, or they want to pretend they don't understand and that it's not happening. But I mean, the bullying that happens in school is crazy to the point where kids want to kill themselves or even try to kill themselves. Well, hello, that's abuse. So to say that there's no abuse at our school, we don't need these programs, is ridiculous. And then obviously even just witnessing a violent act, or maybe there's alcohol or drug abuse going on in the home. That's a form of abuse for the people who have to live with them. So, and that's a rampant issue. So I think it's important for people to understand that Girls with Soul empowers the minds, bodies, and souls of girls who have experienced abuse of any type or who are at risk. And I work with underserved communities who are at risk for quite a bit of maybe not even making it to school. They might have 3 or 4 traumas before they even get to school that day. So it's an issue that they need somebody to come in and to introduce that you can believe in yourself. no matter what. No matter what your surroundings are, no matter what has happened to you. Like Maya Angelou says that you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control not being reduced by those things. And I think that those are things, the resilience factor, that are very important to teach the kids. And the kids that I have worked with so far have really come a long way in learning to believe in themselves and to also build each other up. Because I'll tell you what, they know how to tear each other down. They're good at that. I've seen it. But to build each other up, so we do a lot of exercises where you're a team or you're a peer builder, and it's all new to them. And you would think that this is stuff that's just, common sense or anybody would know to do, but they don't. So without a program that's providing the tools of empowerment, the tools of resilience and peer building, they might never get there. So initially, when everyone said it wasn't going to work, I was like, yeah, I'm used to being called crazy. So it actually worked in my favor to have everybody call me crazy my whole life, because it didn't faze me at all. I just kept moving forward with it. It didn't bother me any. But the book, I think a lot of people, it's called Finish Line Feeling, and a lot of people equate the finish line with the end. And what I really like to enforce or highlight is that it's the exact opposite. It's actually the beginning of what's possible. So it's pretty amazing to see that the kids understand through programs. We might have a 12-week program, and when I first walk in on the first day, they all look at me like I'm insane, which is cool. I'm used to that. By the second or third time, those same kids that are like, really, you could go home now, are like, can you come back tomorrow? Can you come back every day? And then when it ends at 12 weeks, they're upset. They don't want it to end. So, it's pretty amazing to see that it really is the beginning of what's possible, and it's the beginning of forming new goals and realizing that just because you've never tried something before doesn't mean you shouldn't. And that's why we stress a variety of activities. It's not all just running. It might not light you up the way it lights me up. I love to run. I know not everybody does, though. So it might make you actually kind of feel bad about yourself if you don't enjoy running, or it doesn't do for you what it does for me. So we have everything from yoga to, we play traditional sports, everything from football, soccer. I think the girls in the video were playing soccer. I never realized how much screaming was involved in the sport of football until I played with a bunch of girls. There's a lot of screaming that goes on, which is actually pretty funny. And also, you take for granted that you think people know how to play certain games or certain sports. Like, I would ask who wanted to be the QB, and they'd be like, what's the QB? It's the quarterback. I mean, I don't know anything about football. I don't even watch football, but I know what the QB is. I mean, so just to teach them something and have them understand that, oh, I don't like that. Really? Why? I don't know. I just don't like it. And then they realize I actually do like it. This is really cool, and I'm really good at it. Well, some of these girls have like a cannon for an arm. They're amazing, and they didn't even know it. So unless somebody tells them or shows them a way, how are they going to figure it out on their own, right? So that's what I think is pretty amazing about the finish line feeling, in terms of you can't have someone give it to you. You have to earn it. And that's what makes it really special. There are a lot of things in life that you don't necessarily have to earn, but you can feel like someone awarded you for it, or made you feel good about it, or pumped you up because you did it, but you didn't really earn it on your own. But an actual physical activity, or something that you thought was physically impossible that you achieved on your own, is really special, because you did it, no one can do it for you, and no one can take it from you once you do. And there are very few things you can say that about. So it's a really special thing. And you can get it in school, you can get it in art or music and things like that, but there's something real special about the physical, because it taps into your endorphins, it taps into clearing all the cobwebs out of your mind and off of your heart. That's where the Girls with Soul part comes in. We're mind, body, and soul. And so it is a play on words for the shoes, but it's also in here. It's what makes your soul happy, what speaks to you, what makes you feel like on your worst, darkest day, you could still keep moving forward. And for me, that is running. But to be able to tap into it and know that it's possible is what's key. So I think for those reasons, and obviously many more, that we provide these tools of empowerment for the kids so that they can lace up for a lifetime of achievement. They can use those tools in their everyday life. All the things that you learn from being an athlete or from overcoming something that's really uncomfortable or an obstacle through athletics and fitness can be translated directly to your life. Whether it's an interview or school or interpersonal relationships, it all goes hand in hand. So I think that it's pretty neat to see that light switch click when they get that. And especially the ones who have no radar whatsoever, that includes fitness. And then all of a sudden they're like talking like an athlete. They're considering themselves to be an athlete. They're holding themselves like an athlete. And these are the kids that never wanted to do anything. And they start moving and they're like, oh, I'm getting hot. I feel weird. I'm like, you're supposed to. It's okay. You're supposed to feel like that. And then they start getting it. And it's just so cool to see the light go on. So I basically have what we call power principles, and I'll go over them with you real quick because I think they're super important whether you're in Girls with Soul or not. But, you know, the curriculum, we talk about power, we talk about empowerment. In our creed, which we say at the beginning of every single session for Girls with Soul, we do it sort of in a, I don't want to say military chant, but it's a repeat. So if I say a line, everybody repeats it. And in it, we discuss resiliency. And I don't want the kids just saying stuff just for the sake of saying it. So I always make sure they know what resiliency means. And we always go over the power principles. And basically, each principle, it's a letter that stands for something. So you're going to spell out the word power, basically, with each one. So the first one is perseverance. And do you guys have those in your folders? Everyone's looking at it. Oh no, I don't care. Not at all. I wasn't expecting them to be in there, but everyone was being like so studious. I'm like, wow, are they in there or something? That's all right. I actually think that power is something that girls in particular, people always ask me, how come you don't work with boys? Like I don't like boys or something, you know, like I'm leaving the boys out. And maybe I am leaving them out, but it isn't because I don't like them. I have a son, he's 17. I have a daughter, she's 15. I love kids in general. But there's something that is very special and unique about having girls have ownership over something that's only for them. And I think, like in the video, the young lady was talking about, I can be myself here. I can say whatever I want here. And they can sweat there and not worry that they look silly or that they don't look pretty or whatever, you know. And we take the whole idea of what you look like away. It's what your body can do that matters. It's not how you look. And then they also start to understand that they're building each other up and that this is a team and that they're one. Instead of, I don't like that person or I'm going to talk about these people or whatever. They realize that they're a team and we're working together, and there's something very special about working with a group of girls so that they know I've got ownership of this. This is just for me. And if a boy walks in the room, they freak out. They're like, this is for girls only, get out. Like, I mean, they are all over the girls only thing, which is great because they're taking ownership of it. It makes me very happy because they're proud of it and it's theirs and it's nobody else's. So we're going to go over the power. And the first letter, right, is P. That's pretty easy, right? And P stands for perseverance. And obviously perseverance is something that's, you know, necessary in life and in sports, and you learn it definitely from sports, especially in marathon running or anything that's distance related. But it's basically to never give up. And if you fall down 7 times, you stand up 8. And that's pretty much the story of my life right there. But I think that if you can show people that you're worth the effort to persevere and that they're worth the effort to persevere, you can become a very powerful person. And you can't knock someone down that refuses not to ever get back up again. It's just impossible. So that's a huge point of power, is perseverance. And then optimism would be the O. And optimism's huge. Because think about it, the positive thoughts and behaviors that you have are going to make other people feel positive, but they're also, if they're not being positive, they're going to pull you down. So if you don't surround yourself with positive people, you're going to probably have a negative attitude. And it's really important to make it a choice to be positive. And I like to tell people that it's not a gene that you're born with. So you can't say, oh, you know what, I was born with a negative gene. I'm sorry. You know, it's not. It's not something that you're born with. You choose to be positive. So that attitude makes a huge difference. And even if I walked into a room and everybody's attitude was bad, I would have to work really hard to pick mine back up. I mean, it's just catchy. It's contagious. So if you're following, you know, not giving up, persevering, and staying optimistic, maybe even the best advice I ever got, and believe me, I've seen a lot of therapists. I've seen good ones. I've seen bad ones. The best advice I ever got was to keep a positive journal and to write in it every day. It didn't even have to be a long, lengthy entry, but just to say every day something that was positive that day. So we do that a lot in Girls with Soul where, you know, even if it's just a positive circle, I want to know something positive either about them or something that happened that was good that made them happy that day. And it's really sad when they sit there and they actually can't think of one single thing. So it's super powerful, although also super basic, right? I mean, how hard is it to be optimistic? Harder than you think, sometimes. But you could start every day with a positive thought, and as cheesy as that sounds, it works. And then W, you guys know what W stands for? You want to guess? No? Work? No, kind of. It's wisdom. I mean, you have to work to gain wisdom, right? Because you have to do things that you have not already mastered, that you don't already know. How are you going to get any better or any smarter if you're only doing stuff that you're already good at, right? So you have to be uncomfortable to gain wisdom. That's trial and error. And if anybody in here trains for anything, and it doesn't matter what it is, or you know, even if it's work, how do you get better at something? By screwing it up and trying a different approach. That's trial and error, and that's wisdom. So of course, knowledge is power, and school is a place to get that, of course. But I think that there's a lot to be said from experience. Experience is a perfect place to gain wisdom. And even your mistakes, you're going to win, lose, you're still learning. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It doesn't matter if you mess up, because that's how you learn, and that's how you get forward. And I think that what's really cool about that too is then you're able to impart your wisdom to other people. So how awesome is that, to be able to empower somebody else from the mistakes that you've already made? It's actually not a bad deal. It's kind of empowering. It's exciting to be able to learn from your mistake and help others with it at the same time. So instead of wallowing in what happened to me, I decided to take it, what I learned from athletics and fitness, and hopefully impart some knowledge along the way and help somebody in the meantime. So again, super powerful. So we got P, perseverance, O, optimism, W, wisdom. What do you guys think E is? It could be a lot of things. Empowerment, it could be that, but it's not. It is empowering though. No, but that's a good guess. See, it could be a lot of things.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, no, but very close. Energy! Thank you. Oh my gosh, yay! And it's so important because energy is so powerful. I mean, think about it. I mean, even solar energy, all different forms of energy. That's where we get power from, right? Those are our sources. But how you use your energy is how you live your life. And I think that's something that people don't even think about. If you're going to use your energy in a negative way, you're going to live a negative life. And you're probably going to cause negative behaviors that are cast onto other people that they're not going to want. So it's super important to use your energy in a positive way, but even more so, not let anyone rob you of your positive energy and your enthusiasm, which is so easy to do, isn't it? I mean, it's easy. And how you could even just walk up to a water cooler and stand there, and somebody walks up and they're all like, "Did you see so and so today? I can't even believe it." And all of a sudden you're like, "Oh yeah, and I'm mad about this too." And all of a sudden it blows up into this huge negative day, and you allowed that person to rob you of your energy, your positive energy, and your enthusiasm. So it's super powerful. Again, basic stuff, but think about the power of it, or how you could pass it along, your negative or your positive energy to people, and you have the choice of which one to do. Every single day, and every person you meet, you have the choice. So it's pretty amazing and super powerful because it gives us the strength. Our energy gives us the strength and the power to overcome the obstacles, and it creates a light inside of us. So it is sort of like a power energy. It's a light that helps you come out of the darkness and into a bright future. And that's what I want the kids to see, because a lot of them don't think they have a future. They don't see a light. They don't think that they can be positive, and they can. So, and they think that they don't have any energy, so they should do less. Instead, they should be doing more. If you move around a little bit more, you'll have more energy. But they think, I'm tired, I don't want to move. That's not how it works. And then it sparks your brain and makes you think faster, it makes you react faster, and you're kinder, and you're nicer and calmer. There's so many good power that can come from energy. So we got perseverance, optimism, wisdom, energy, and I bet you guys totally can guess R. I said it probably 6 billion times. Yes! You are so smart. Aw, and pretty. Aw, she's the whole package over there. So, resilience, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what it boils down to. And unfortunately, I really feel like kids need to be taught resilience. They don't have it. To the point where my daughter was at a swim camp, and it was at a very nice university. Some people, I'm sure, have heard of it, Notre Dame. I mean, it's a nice school. They were staying in the dorms, and one of her roommates did not like the dorms and called her mom and was crying, and her mom drove 3 hours to go pick her up and take her to a hotel so she wouldn't have to be uncomfortable in the dorm. Now, okay, she wasn't ill. There was no issue going on. Nobody was injured. She just didn't like it, and she was crying. So her mom picked her up. Now, I feel like that is such a disservice. That kills me. Because how are you supposed to understand how to be resilient and be uncomfortable and overcome obstacles if all you have to do is call your mom and she comes and picks you up? So I think that it's, that's an extreme example, but maybe not even that extreme. It's just dorky that her mom would do that. I would have told my kid to suck it up. Get over it. I know, it's a camp. It's not forever. You'll be okay. So, we're all going to be brought down by something at some point in our lives, right? I mean, it doesn't matter who we are. We're not immune to having something try to pull us down. But really the key of resilience is being able to bounce back from it, like a rubber band. Like Plastic Man from the 70s comic books. Do you remember him? He could stretch his body into any shape or form, and he could reach like all the way across campus. I don't know why that's a superpower. Like, what do you need that for? Can you grab me the salt, Plastic Man? Yeah, I'll get it from 2 blocks down. I don't know. For whatever reason, it was cool in the 70s. Obviously, we've evolved quite a bit with our superheroes since then. But clearly, somebody thought that being resilient, because he was made out of plastic and rubber, was a superpower. And it really is, if you think about it. Because if you're going to be reduced by what happens to you, if you can't bounce back and you're going to lay down and die, then where are you going to go from there? Obviously, no place. So it is a very powerful thing to be able to come back from anything that occurs in your life. And I think that athletics and fitness are key in teaching that. Because again, you're uncomfortable. You might have to be with a teammate that you don't love, but you don't have to love her, you just have to respect her. And it's tough to learn that. And it does all help you learn resilience and all the power principles in general. Perseverance, optimism, wisdom, energy, and resilience. So basically, you all have the power to achieve the finish line feeling in anything you want to in life, and nobody can take it from you once you do. And that's really what it boils down to with Girls with Soul. And I have a very quick, if you want to give me like 2 minutes, I have an essay that one of the girls wrote who I worked with. And this was for an essay contest. When my book came out, we did a book launch at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. And we ran an essay contest. I like to try to involve the girls in everything that we do in Girls with Soul. And the essay contest was just, what Girls with Soul means to them, what they get out of it. And the winners, well, it was only supposed to be one winner, but the winner could come to the Rock Hall and they got a Kindle Fire. We bought them a Kindle Fire, and then they got a bouquet of flowers and some other things. And then they, if they wanted to, unless they were uncomfortable, they didn't have to. But if they wanted to, they could read their essay at the Rock Hall event. Well, my board was the panel of judges, and they couldn't narrow it down to one, so we picked 3 winners. So we had 3 Kindle Fires and 3 girls that got dressed up, and we hired a makeup person to come and do their makeup, and they were just so excited. They were like over the top. I mean, they literally thought they were rock stars being inducted into the Hall of Fame that night. So it was really worth it, and I was really impressed with some of their essays, actually. But this young lady in particular, when she wrote it, she was 16, and she was in residential treatment. And I'm not going to go into the abuse that she endured, but I will tell you that her mom literally had her for the sole purpose of raising a slave, and was artificially inseminated so that she could have a slave to do with what she wanted, and that's Allie. And so when she was 9 years old, she ran away. It was in the winter. Her mom wouldn't let her wear clothes in the house. And it was in Pennsylvania, and freezing cold. And she got to the police station, and her mom was arrested and was in jail for quite a long time. She's out now. But she was in residential treatment in Ohio, and I worked with that center, and was in restraints most of the day. She tried to hang herself when she was 10 years old. She has scars everywhere from all the cutting. She has every eating disorder under the sun, and I mean, I could go on and on. So obviously, when she first heard about Girls with Soul, she didn't want to do it. She told them, I'm not going. And they didn't force her, but she did finally come one day, and it was amazing. I mean, she actually was the one that I told you earlier. When she was 17, she ran a marathon. I ran it with her. And she was determined to do it, and she was determined to not throw up her food. So she put a running collage on the back of her toilet, because she knew as an athlete she needed to keep it in. And when she would put her toilet seat up, she would see the collage, and it would keep her from doing it. And that was like something she came up with on her own. So I just think it's like so amazing that, you know, the things that they come up with and that become important to them that they didn't realize before. So she wrote, from the moment we lace our running shoes, we become girls with soul. We're able to forget, if only for an hour, our anger and pain. As we run or talk, it seems to magically melt away. Girls who are fighting become friends. Girls who normally do not speak to each other suddenly are running side by side laughing. Girls with Soul is somewhere safe where we're encouraged to be ourselves. And it is somewhere where everyone believes that we can do great things, even if we can't believe it ourselves. It is a place where we are free to discover that our pasts don't have to guide our futures, and that we are stronger than we may think. Sometimes it's simply a place to laugh and be a kid without having to worry about everything that surrounds us every day. Girls with Soul has helped me in many ways. It has given me my friends, it has given me support, and it has definitely given me a place to laugh and have fun. But it has given me so much more than that. It's given me a role model and the support and belief that one day I can change lives like Miss Liz has changed mine. It has given me the chance to stop viewing my body as this ugly, fat, good-for-nothing thing, and to see instead how I can make it run, and how if I treat it right, it can carry me across many finish lines. It has given me a healthy escape from the pain of my past and my present. Before I was in Girls with Soul, I was pretty messed up. I'm not perfect now, but I can admit that no one is. I still sometimes feel like giving up, letting life just swallow me whole, but Girls with Soul is always there, something I can rely on. It's the finish line or the last lap, that thing that makes you keep going, even if you think that you can't and that you think that you're crazy for thinking that you can. And it gets me through. I'm able to go and release all the painful emotions that tear at me. I'm able to see people who care and that I'm not alone and that there is always hope. When I started to write this, I thought I knew what I wanted to say, and I did know part of it. Everything I have written is true, but I think the most important thing I have gained from Girls with Soul, and that I have seen others in the program gain, is hope. A lot of us don't have very many people to encourage us, and we don't have many people to rely on. Girls with Soul encourages us, but it also teaches us to encourage ourselves. Miss Liz and all the other awesome people involved in Girls with Soul are very supportive, but we learn our strengths and we see what we can do, and we start to believe believe in ourselves. We start to stop caring about the voices that cry out discouragements and to listen to that soft voice deep inside each of us, which is quietly shouting, "You can do it." Girls of Soul has let me hear that voice and to believe it. So that was Allie. And that is Girls with Soul.